Hello YouTubers, Alaska Prepper here. I thought I'd read a quick article here, and as you can see the title here, look how well gold has retained its value from 1,000 years ago. So I'm just going to go ahead and get right into it. It's a pretty quick article, so I'll try not to do a lot of ranting. That way you guys can get the information without me ranting so much. Okay, on October 12, 929, roughly 1100 years ago, Abdur Rahman III of Umayyad dynasty was proclaimed ruler of Cordova, the Islamic kingdom that comprised most of Spain at that time. Rahman was just 21 when he ascended to power, and he remained there for nearly 50 years as one of the wealthiest and most powerful monarchs in Europe. Historians Dennis Cardone and Edward Gibbon calculate his annual tax revenue at approximately 12 million gold dinars, which was a lot. The dinar contained 4.25 grams of gold, so 12 million of them would be worth roughly about $2 billion today. With Cordova's population estimated at about 500,000 people back in the early 10th century, that works out to about $4,000 in taxes per person. The modern day equivalent, that is. That's eerily similar to the number of modern day tax figures. The most recent data from the Internal Revenue Service, for example, shows that the average individual income tax is just over $4,000 for every man, woman, and child in the land of the free. And most of the country, of course, pays nothing. It's an interesting data point that shows just how well gold retains its value over long periods of time. Records from the same period in Islamic history show that the homes of wealthy individuals were worth between 10,000 and 30,000 dinars, and much higher among the ultra-rich. That's roughly 1.7 million to $5 million today, eerily similar to what high-end homes cost today. Day to day, month to month, and year to year, the price of gold can fluctuate inexplicably. But over the long term, whether you're comparing loaves of bread, home prices, or government tax revenue, it really holds its value. This is one of the things that makes gold such an excellent hedge against political uncertainty, macroeconomic challenges, financial crisis, inflation, etc. Said another way, gold is a great insurance policy for all the I don't knows. Global debt, for example, recently hit an unfathomable level of $250 trillion. $250 trillion, ladies and gentlemen, that's about 3.5 times the global GDP. So the global GDP, gross domestic product, is roughly $70 trillion. So that means that the world is indebted. I don't know who the world is indebted to. Is there like another planet out there that's lending us money? Because that debt has to be going to someone. So anyways, the world is indebted 3.5 times the amount that it earns every year, you can say. Total U.S. national debt is 21.5 trillion, which exceeds 100% of our U.S. GDP. Our U.S. GDP is, I believe, 20 trillion last year. Okay, so yeah, we're definitely exceeding our GDP as far as our debt goes. Uncle Sam is burning through cash so quickly that even the Treasury Department expects trillion-plus-dollar annual budget deficits from now on. Literally just 3 major line items from the federal budget: Social Security, Medicare, interest payments on the debt, and defense spending cost more than all the tax revenue that the government collects. They have to go deeper and deeper into debt to fund everything else in the federal government, from Homeland Security to national parks to paying the light bill at the White House. That's not good considering these ballooning deficits are coming at a time when interest rates are rising. So the more debt the government accumulates, their interest payments are growing even more rapidly. Debt is rising so fast that the Congressional Budget Office estimates interest payments will exceed defense spending within a few years, and that'll be huge. I do believe that right now we're probably spending roughly $30 billion plus, $30 to $40 billion a month paying interest on our debt. So with the interest hikes going on, that's going to put even more of a tax. It's going to tax our interest even more. So we're going to have to pay even more interest with the interest rates going up. So that's what people don't understand. Or, I mean, I can't say that people don't understand this, but let me just give you a quick explanation of that. So the higher that our interest rate go up, the higher that the bond yields go up, right? And people buy bonds to collect interest, right? So let's say you buy a 10-year bond at 3.10%, right? You're collecting 3.10% interest on that bond, right? And you're like, well, that's a good interest rate. Or let's say the bonds go up to 5 or 6% interest. That's a great interest rate. But what you're not realizing is that the higher the interest rate on the bonds is, the more that the U.S. government or that the U.S. has to pay in interest. All right. So the more of a burden it is on the U.S. So how long will it be before the U.S. can't even pay those bonds back? So you may be getting a good deal on the bonds, but what is the U.S. doing to pay off those bonds? Are they creating more money out of thin air? Are they taxing their people more? Which, creating money out of thin air is bad, all right? Because one of the things that comes out of inflation is the price of things get higher. Okay, so that's bad. So it may be good for someone who's buying a bond, but is it really good? Because they may be getting more interest, but the cost of living is rising. So I mean, if you could understand what I'm saying there. And not to be a downer, but most of these problems are getting much worse. 10,000 baby boomers are retiring every day, and that means ballooning Medicare and Social Security payments. Meanwhile, there are fewer and fewer young people entering the workforce to pay into America's broken pension system. In 1960, for example, there was an average of 5.1 workers in the U.S. paying tax into Social Security to support every single retiree drawing benefits. By 2000, that ratio had fallen to 3.4, and today it's just 2.6. Pension funds rely on a steady, growing population and workforce to remain stable, so pretty much they're a Ponzi scheme. If you don't have any money coming in, you ain't got no money going out. All right, so this is pretty much a disaster for Social Security. The U.S. fertility rate, by the way, is at a record low, so this is a problem that is worsening by the year. And the pension demographic fundamentals in Europe and Japan are even worse than they are in the U.S. And remember, all of this is happening at a time when the economy is doing well. I'm going to put that in air quotes. What happens when there's a major market correction and people's retirement savings get wiped out again, or there's a major recession? Across the water, Europe is drowning in debt with radical political parties taking hold. Japan, the world's third largest economy, has a GDP ratio of 236%. Wow. More than double that of the U.S. Japan's debt is so huge that the government has to spend nearly 25% of tax revenue just to pay interest. So let's just take a step back and summarize. The world's largest economy, the U.S., has a ballooning debt and an unsolvable pension problem. You hear that? It's unsolvable pension problem. Yet it is starting a trade war with the world's second largest economy, China. Meanwhile, the third largest economy in the world, Japan, has to spend nearly 1/4 of its tax revenue just to pay interest. And most of the other top economies in the world, Italy, France, etc., are drowning in debt and economic stagnation. So, ladies and gentlemen, it's like I've told you before, our economy here in the U.S., our fiat currency here in the U.S., it's the cleanest dirty shirt in the hamper, right? Because they're all messed up. It's just, we're just the least messed up. But I think that, or at least in the eyes of the world, we're the least messed up because people like to run to the dollar. But sooner or later, they're going to realize that that dirty shirt, even though it's the cleanest dirty shirt in the hamper, still has to go in the washer. Okay? It's impossible to predict exactly how long this is going to play out or when, but it certainly seems sensible to have some insurance. Gold has been around for thousands of years, and as we discussed earlier, it has a great track record of maintaining value. And that's what I've always said, ladies and gentlemen, when I'm talking about gold or silver, that it's not an investment, okay? You get gold and silver so that you can have a hedge against the dollar against the government, okay? But with nearly every other asset in the world trading at or near record high prices today, gold is on sale. You can buy an ounce of gold today for less than $1,200, which is 38% below its 2011 high. In addition to a low price, there are supply constraints in the gold sector, which could be a major catalyst for higher prices. So, ladies and gentlemen, what he's saying here is that the time to buy gold and silver are now, when the prices are low. Okay? Just think about it this way. You just went into the supermarket and you saw 10-pound bags of sugar selling for $1 when they normally sell for $5. What are you going to do? Are you only going to buy one bag? You're probably going to buy more than one bag, but you're definitely going to buy at least one. You know, you're going to look at that and say, wow, that's like really, really cheap. Let me go ahead and grab a couple of those. Why? Because they're really cheap, and you know that it's not going to go to waste. All right, so the time to buy insurance is when it's cheap and when you don't need it, because when your house is on fire, it's already too late. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that pretty much says it all. That very last line pretty much says it all. The time to buy insurance is when it's cheap and when you don't need it, because when your house is on fire, it's already too late. If you can all find me an insurance company that will insure your car after it's gotten in an accident and then pay off the amount that it's going to cost to fix your vehicle from that accident, you let me know, okay? Because it's not going to happen. The time to buy insurance is now. And gold and silver throughout the history of mankind, has always been honest money. It's honest money. You don't have to trust anyone. If someone gives you a gold coin, that gold coin has value. It's not a promise. Same thing with silver. I obviously like silver more than gold because I believe it's so very undervalued. But silver and gold are probably two of the most undervalued assets in the world right now. Okay? While everything else is going up in price, silver and gold are going down, which is incredible. But that's a good thing. That's a good thing. It gives you time to stack. All right? And hopefully it gives some of the people that haven't started purchasing gold and silver to really think about it and maybe pull the trigger and get themselves a few ounces. Okay? So ladies and gentlemen, this is your Friday morning wake-up call. All right? And I hope you guys have had a good week, and we will talk to you tomorrow with a Twilight Zone. Having said that, remember to be good to each other. When good people do good things happen. Remember to reach one, teach one, and repeat. If we all did this, the world would be a better place, and you know that it will be a better place. So please, ladies and gentlemen, like, share, and subscribe. Many blessings to all of you and your families. This is Alaska Prepper, and I'm out.